Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. I do hope that you're doing well. I'm sure that you are. Behind me are some images of some lawbreakers. The question is, who are they and what did they do? See how many of those you recognise. You probably know the top row. Okay, so at the top left you've got Martin Luther King, you've got Gandhi in the middle at the top, and then Nelson Mandela on the top right. And all of those were people that were civil rights activists in different countries. At the bottom left you've got Mr. and Mrs. Wilkinson, and in the middle you've got a bloke called Jama. Now, the question is, what did these guys do? Well, Martin Luther King obviously fought for black civil rights in America. Gandhi fought for equality in India. Nelson Mandela fought for black civil rights in South Africa. Mr. and Mrs. Wilkinson ran a bed and breakfast. Now, a bed and breakfast is something that's similar to a hotel, apart from you actually rent out part of your own home. They had a rule that said that people who weren't married couldn't stay in the same bedroom together. They were a devout Christian couple who believed that sex before marriage was a wrong thing to do. These guys, it was a number of years back before same-sex marriage was legalised, had a gay couple turn up who said that they were being discriminated against because they were unable to get married at that point. It went to court and Mr. and Mrs. Wilkinson lost. And it went to appeal and they lost that, and eventually they ended up having to sell their house. All because they said that people who were not married should not be sharing a room together or having sex together. That was their Christian viewpoint, and that went for homosexuals as well as heterosexuals. Now, they argued that it was a rule across the board, whereas the homosexual community argued that it was discriminatory against them on the grounds that they were unable to get married. Then you've got Jama. Jama was a Christian in Saudi Arabia who converted to Christianity. It was illegal to do that. He was a Muslim, in Saudi Arabia. He converted to Christianity where it's legal to do that conversion, and he had to escape and now lives in the UK under asylum. So, the question, what have they all got in common? The answer, I'll tell you after our short intro music. The answer? Well, they all put their faith before the law. Okay, they all broke the law in their own way to try and bring a greater equality. So that's our title today. Should we put faith before the law? Should we put faith before the law? And we're going to explore cases in which the law conflicts with religious belief. As we do go, obviously do pause me and do send your work to your teachers at the end of the session. So it's going to be good if you can explain what Jesus taught about the law conflicting with religious belief. It's going to be great if you can give an example of how law can conflict with religious beliefs, and even better if you can suggest if Christian teachings support difficult choices. So we're going to do a bit of analysis of text. We're going to be thinking and hopefully we'll be showing a bit of integrity as a value for us to develop as well. So we're going to look at breaking the law, we're going to look at biblical narrative, there's a worksheet, and then an exam question. So to start off with, just give yourself 5 minutes for this. Let's have a read of this passage together. Later, some of the Pharisees and the supporters of Herod came to trap Jesus, this is from Mark's Gospel, into saying something he could be arrested for. Teacher, they said, we know how honest you are. You are impartial, you don't play favourites, you teach us the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or should we not? So basically the question that's being given to here Jesus is, who has authority? Is it Caesar, is it the king, or is it God, which is the Pharisees are wanting Jesus to say? If Jesus says it's Caesar, then that's going to really offend the Jewish people and the listeners who didn't think that Caesar had any authority. If Jesus says that it is the religious people and God, then therefore that would go against the rule of Caesar, and therefore Jesus would be in trouble there again. So they've deliberately got Jesus trapped at this point. Well, Jesus saw through their hypocrisy and said, "Why are you trying to trap me? Show me a Roman coin and I'll tell you." And they handed it to him, and then he said, "Whose picture and title is stamped on this?" "Caesar's," they said. "Well then," said Jesus, "give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." And his reply amazed them. So Jesus is saying here there's two sets of authorities that you should be standing by. So what I'd like you to do is to either create a quick storyboard if you want. I'll write down the salient points in no more than 15 words, which is quite challenging to do. So pause me now while you do that, and then come back to me. So, who has the most authority for Christians? And that's really what we're going to be musing about today. Is it the law or is it God? So let's just do a quick task. In the description below, you'll find a fill in the blanks task. I'd like you to do that and try and work out what the blanks are. When you finish, come up with as many examples as you can with how the law might conflict with Christian beliefs. Okay, and that's the law in the UK. You can do it worldwide if you'd rather, but there is plenty of examples within the UK. So when you've finished the fill in the blanks task, come up with as many examples as you can when the law conflicts with Christian belief. Give yourself a few minutes to do that, and then come back to me. Okay, so the next task I'd like you to do is to access this grid. Now, if you don't have access to a printer or don't want to type it, then you can write it out in your book. It's 3 columns across. What is the situation? Why is it difficult? What should a Christian do and why? And what would you do and why? And then you're just going to write scenario 1, 2, 3, and 4 down the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you some scenarios through. And what you need to do is just bullet point down under the scenario 1, for example, what the scenario is. Sorry, under the what is the situation. You're going to bullet point down what the scenario is, explain why you think it could be difficult, then using your wider knowledge, what do you think a Christian would do, apply things like treat others like to be treated, do not murder, and the rest of that to it, and then lastly say what you would do. So this is scenario number 1. You'll need to pause me when I'm done. During World War times, conscription, which was forcing men to join the army, and fighting for your country are accepted by law. However, many Christians are against violence. Should a Christian fight? So you get a call up to go to fight. It is a legal requirement to do. Do you break the law or do you go and do it anyway? So that's situation 1. So work on those boxes. Pause me and come back to me when you're done. Situation 2. The law now accepts that many shops open on a Sunday. If a contract was to change, meaning that someone had to work on a Sunday, should a Christian follow the law and their contract, or should they follow the 10 Commandments, which state the holy day should be a day of rest, and maybe quit their job? Okay, so I'll read that scenario again. The law accepts many shops can open on a Sunday. If a contract was to change, meaning that someone has to work on a Sunday, should a Christian follow the law or the 10 Commandments that state that the holy day should be kept as a day of rest? So get that scenario 2 completed. Scenario 3. Abortion is legal in most countries. That's where the fetus's life is ended, the embryo's life is ended. Abortion is legal in most countries as long as it satisfies the stated conditions of 2 doctors must agree it, and it's before 24 weeks. Many religions believe in the sanctity of life, that all life is sacred and only God can take a life. What should a Christian do in a situation where somebody comes and asks them for advice? Situation 3 again. Abortion is legal in most countries as long as it satisfies certain legal criteria. Many religions believe in the sanctity of life, that all life is sacred and only God can take a life. What should a Christian do in a situation of being asked advice? Pause me now, come back to me. And lastly, scenario 4. Most Christians teach that we do not have the right to take the life of somebody else. How can a Christian cope in cases of capital punishment where it remains legal? So where the death penalty remains legal. Most Christians teach that we do not have the right to take the life of another. How can a Christian cope in cases of capital punishment where this remains a legal requirement? Okay, so we said it'd be good if you could explain what Jesus taught about the law conflicting with religious beliefs, and we've talked about that with regards to Caesar and the coin. Great if you can give an example of how law can challenge or conflict with religious belief, and there were 4 examples, and even better if you can suggest some Christian teaching to support those choices. So we've done our Breaking the Law Biblical Narrative worksheet. We're now going to look at our exam question. So this is the exam question. Explain 2 religious beliefs about always obeying the law. Explain 2 contrasting religious beliefs about always obeying the law. In your answer, you must refer to 1 or more religious traditions. So you're going to have to do some Christians, other Christians, or some Church of England, some Roman Catholic. And the way that you think about this is that Roman Catholics are generally stricter, so you compare it to someone like Quakers that might say that love's the most important thing. So there's 2 big hints for you. So say that Roman Catholics are stricter and Quakers, Society of Friends, say that love's the most important thing. And you need basically 2 points. You need to come up with why the law should be obeyed, and think about reasons as to why the law should be obeyed and what the Bible teaches about that, and why the law maybe shouldn't be obeyed if it contrasts against faith. It's 4 marks, it's 4 minutes. Let's do that and then come back to me. Okay, so this is how it's marked. Maybe set yourself a target of something to improve. Okay, so we've met our objectives there really well. I'm not going to recap over those, but I'm going to leave you with this. Did Martin Luther King do the right thing going against the law? Did Martin Luther King do the right thing against going against the law? I'm going to leave that there for today. Thanks very much for your time. Stay safe, wash hands, God bless you. I'll be seeing you soon.